All right, we are back with another Skill with Pros podcast episode. And this is going to be a fun one, guys, because I actually have a good friend of mine, Jack Walker, co founder of Vacay AZ. This is an individual that myself and him were, grinding it together in the real estate industry, both in our early 20s when we were kicking off our careers. And so we have, battle stories that we can tell for days on all of that. But, Jack has really built an amazing, vacation property management company. Correct me, Jack, in the process of explaining, more about what you guys specifically do now today. But Jack, man, excited to have you here and would love for you to share with everyone, how did this all start in this entrepreneurial journey to where you're at with Vacay AZ today?
Dude, Cody, appreciate you having me on. So
Absolutely, man.
my story really starts 18 years old, out of high school, going to college. The plan was like everybody else, right? The plan was to go to ASU to get the degree, go into college debt. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I needed a business elective class for like my third semester of college or whatever. And I sat down with my advisor, and one of the options was real estate. I was like, shit, real estate. All right, that sounds good. Let me pop into that. So the first day that I went into real estate class, I didn't realize that it was a class to get your real estate license. So I had just turned 19 at this time, and I was like, damn, that would be so cool to be a 19-year-old real estate agent, right? Had no idea anything about anything really, you know. So, uh, you know, fast forward, got my license, and um, there was it took me 7 months to sell my first house. So it was a, I was door knocking, I was trying anything and everything. I looked like I was 12 years old.
So it
Didn't
wasn't
know,
a get rich quick overnight thing.
no, no. No, so at 7 months, this is like where my whole like paradigm shifted. Was this There was a 60-day period when I was so 19, I actually had turned 20, so about 20 years old. I'm 30 now, so about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. We're getting old now, Cody. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we're just old and just, becoming irrelevant now because of our age.
Gosh, I know. So 7 months into selling real estate, I sold my first house and I made $3,000, dude. And I was like, holy shit, this is insane, right? I'm rich. I'm living at home still. I didn't have any expenses. And then the very next month, I sold my second house ever and made like 6,000. So I went from having, I remember specifically, I had $1,800 in my bank with a $600 car payment due. I bought this Mustang. I thought it was cool. Horrible, horrible decision looking back. So I went from like $1,000 to over $10,000 in my bank at 20 years old. So at that point, my whole paradigm shifted. I was like, for me, I was working. That was my last job, was the JW Marriott. I was like a busser, server. I worked in all kind of security, moved around there, and that was my that was my out of that last job. I'm like, okay, I have 10,000 in the bank. I'm gonna go all in on real estate. So then this is where this is like right at the time where Cody and I link up. So I was trying to figure out how am I going to get more business? So I came across Fearless Agent. It's so funny to think about Fearless Agent. I come across Fearless Agent, and Cody and I know Cody's in Fearless Agent, and we start cold calling. Cody and I are doing Google Hangouts, calling for 6 hours straight and trying to get deals. And so I did that, and after a while, it started to roll. It started to roll, started to make, six figures as a young guy. And basically, my whole, I bought my first little condo, all that fun stuff. And then fast forward to about 4 years into the business, one of my business partners, Patrick, was going to flip a house, and these Canadians wanted to buy the house, and they wanted to buy it for vacation rental. So, at the time we thought, wow, that's interesting. This was in 2017. So Airbnb was known, but it wasn't It wasn't
like
like
it is
mainstream.
today.
Yeah, it's super mainstream now. So we we take that house off the market. We start our first Airbnb property, and it gets bookings right away. So it's going well. In the meantime, we sell these Canadian guys who had a fund of about $6 million. We sold these guys three houses, and they didn't have a management company. We had connections, cleaners, and maintenance guys, and everything. And so very quickly we had four properties. And this was just like I'm still selling real estate, trying to, and then we're kind of managing these vacation rentals, and it's kind of fun to me though. It's interesting. There's a lot of moving parts. It's like a real operation, the cleaners, the problems, the pool heaters, there's a lot going on. So we then we then start to market on Google SEO. We start to dump all of our profits, about 10,000 a month, into we didn't, this is a good lesson for young business owners, is we didn't pay ourselves for like 3 years, and I'm working like 80 hours a week. And so we started dumping like 10,000 a month into Google SEO, and that started to really hump now. Like we're starting to get a lot of leads. So then we have 8 houses, 10 houses, and then we get an operational software. We kind of get our back end going. Everything's not done on paper and in our minds. We're starting to build, very
Systems, processes.
very minuscule stuff, right? It's still early. Like we're jumped off the cliff and we're trying to build the plane on the way down. And then, fast forward 8 years, coming up on 9 years in business, we now manage. At this current moment, it's about 65 properties. So we focus on the high-end luxury homes. If you take the whole portfolio of assets, it's probably about 140 to 150 million of assets under management. And we have a staff of 10, and we're going to be doing over 8 million in revenue this year. So that's that's the summary.
I love it, man. It's you know, it's good to, you sharing the, first couple of years, it's like not really taking much out of the business and like building the foundations and building this thing to, get to where it is today. And, to Jack's point on the luxury side, like the properties at Vacay AZ, which if you're looking to book a stay in Arizona specifically, where you guys are at in, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, Sedona, anywhere else? Those are the main
Just
main
like the
cities.
nicer, Scottsdales, Cave Creeks,
Yeah.
you know,
All of the nice areas in
Sedona.
Arizona. If you're looking for a place to stay, Jack's properties, they're phenomenally taken care of. So definitely the guy to and the company to reach out to for those stays. But you
Appreciate
guys
that.
have built such a great company over these years, and so I guess now obviously you fast forwarded 8 years, over 8 million a year now in revenue, team of 10. What if you could go back, what would you say would maybe be a couple things that you would do differently to get to where you're at now faster? Because that's, a lot of people listening, they're like, how do I expedite? They hear 8 years and they're like, I want to do it tomorrow, which obviously we all know
Yeah.
it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build these things. But once you've
Yeah.
done it, you can identify oftentimes in your past things that you could have done different to go faster.
Yeah, that's an easy one. So for the first 3, 4 years, it was just three of us, right? So we did all the work, right? I was dragging out trash cans. I was working every weekend. To answer that, it would be to hire people. Hire people to do the lower level type of work per se. Although I always look at business as like even like the guys like packing boxes in a business, everybody's important to the whole business. But that would be, so we would need to hire people faster. It took us way too long to start hiring people. And if we would have started hiring people faster, we could have done a better job of focusing on working on the business and not so much in the
In
business
it.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's what you preach, and it's inspiring for me to get further down that journey. And yeah, that's we would just need to hire people faster.
Yeah, and I love the mindset that you have on it though of like it doesn't mean that it's the people are low value because they're doing lower dollar per hour things. It's just there's certain skills that you can pay a lower dollar amount of money to have other people do those things for you. And it doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just how you can do things in your business to be more efficient and, consistently. Like one of my goals is consistently leveling up like the value of the work that I do. And my other goal that I have all the time is I want to be as irrelevant to the businesses that I'm involved in as possible and have the relevancy beyond the systems, the processes, and the team that's been built rather than me being the linchpin to, something operationally functioning or working or whatnot. And so that's super, that's always been like a thing I'm consistently trying to do. Because also it's
Yeah.
like, I also believe it's like, every business we should build to be able to sell doesn't mean we're going to sell it, but like it should be
Hmm.
built in a way to sell. And it's like, well, what would have
Yeah.
to be true to do that? Well, how would we de-risk it for a buyer? Well, we'd have good processes, we'd have good systems, we'd have a team in place that could do the things that if we did sell, the thing wouldn't fall apart because now they bought a team that's going to keep operating those things. And so I think that's a big one for a lot of people. What caused you to be able to make that change? Because a lot of people don't. They get kind of stuck, like, in this either high six figures or low seven figures, maybe a couple million a year, but then they don't continue growing because they never could actually end up delegating and getting a team to help them. So they just stay stuck in those lower revenue ranges, which is still respectable for those listening. It's not saying that it's not. It's just, how do you keep going past that?
Yeah, and yeah, I'm trying to get, past the 10 million mark. Like we're all there, we're all trying to
Yeah.
build and get more. Um, Sorry, what was the question
Yeah.
exactly?
So the question was just how did you like make that transition where you and your partners
Oh,
Patrick and Zach were like, okay, like we can't just all be doing this forever. Like we actually need to build a team. And how did you guys work through? Okay, let's actually build the team.
well, so we didn't hire anyone until about 3 million in revenue. So it
Mm-hmm.
was just grind, 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 let's get there. And it was just the simple fact of getting tired of doing everything. Your time was so limited. I was, like I said, I was taking out the trash cans, I was inspecting all the houses, I was dealing with all the fires. All three of us were just running around with our head cut off. And you just get to a breaking point where you're so tired of dealing with all of these problems all the time that it's like, okay, we gotta take some of the revenue, and we're gonna start paying, and we're gonna hire some key people that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
take these 40 hours off of my plate. So you hire an individual, you're gaining 40 hours, and you hire another guy, now you got 80 hours that just took off you and your partner's plate. So it was just a combination of, okay, we finally had some revenue, we're profitable, we can pay these reasonable salaries, and then you just get to a breaking point where you're just so tired of dealing with it.
Yeah. So for those listening, you just got to get to that breaking point. I mean, and then just making the decision because I think some people they just decide to stay small because they're like, I don't want to deal with it, or which is also frustrating part is especially when people are first starting to hire team members, they don't maybe know how to hire, they don't know how to interview, train, manage, delegate, all of those things, and it's like these new
Yeah.
skills that now have to be learned. And for a lot of other business owners when they're first starting doing that, they're not very good at it, and so then they fail on their first hires. And then it's sadly, I was talking to a guy last night at an event that I was at, and he's just like, I've just stayed at this because I just keep hiring managers and then they keep not being able to do it. And so I've just stayed stuck at this revenue amount. And it's like, then people they just kind of give up. And so it's like pushing through that is so, it's hard and it's painful because you're spending money, you're spending time, you're investing into training them and trying to delegate, and they screw stuff up, and then you have to like restart the process. So it can be very discouraging. But on the other side of it, it's super rewarding.
Yeah, our first hire was horrible. We were at a restaurant and we met this gal there, this like young girl, and we're like, "Oh, you just moved here from South Dakota? Oh, you need a job? Okay." So we just interviewed her and and next thing you know, we're like what does she do? How do we do this? And she basically lasted about 60 days until she was too bored because we didn't know how to delegate things. I was still doing all the work. I didn't know how to like, we didn't know how to tell her, we had nothing in place, no, there still just wasn't enough data, not enough time to, these things take time to get these people, seasoned and to understand, because I don't like, one thing with me and with my business partners is we don't like to, I don't like to like hand hold people, hold their hand too much,
Yeah.
we like to really self-police people. I'm not a micromanager at all. So, I expect you to do your job. I expect, 40 hours of productivity per se. But yeah, man, that first hire was horrible. And then it went into then the next hire was fantastic. We actually interviewed more people. We had the next hire was a house inspector, right? So I'm speaking generally and specific to my business because
Yeah.
it's all I think about. No, but we hired this inspector, and yeah, that freed me up because I was going to the houses constantly. Now I bounce into houses here and there just to like inspect what you expect on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but now our full team takes care of all the inspections on these houses. So
It's great. I love it. And that's
yeah, dude.
the delegation piece, man, is hard, you know? It's what I tell people, it's like when especially when people are first newly delegating, like one of the things I'll tell people is like, look, like you have to expect that they're going to screw stuff up because they're human just like you, and you also make mistakes. So,
Yeah,
we have to remember that. But also it's like allowing them to make some of those mistakes so that they can learn from them. It's like,
yeah,
and sometimes the argument people have is like, well, what if they really screw something up with a key client? And it's like, well, don't start with that being the first delegated thing if that's a concern. It's like, start with something small, like not literally this, but like, hey, have them take out the trash at the end of the day, and like, did they
yeah,
remember to do it? Did they do it? Great. Like, all right, so you start with like little things, and then you could start adding on bigger things, more meaningful things, bigger impact things,
yeah,
because you start building that trust. And it's like the only way to get trust is you have to give the trust. You have to give the trust that they're going to do it. And then over time, stacking more things onto them that then they're, taking more and more off your plate. And then sometimes even you have to, I call it watching the boat, going out into the sea, and it's going to crash into the iceberg, and just letting it crash because they need to learn the lesson on the other side of that. And obviously,
totally.
again, not on a key client thing or like something that's gonna like be devastating to the business, but like allowing your team to make mistakes. It's like being like a helicopter mom, but like in business of like just saving your team and being the hero. Then you end up having a team that can't do anything without you because you're just the hero all the time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude. So I mean, it took me. It's like a perfect example of that is it took me about year six to like relinquish power over like the money, right? So we pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars in vendor bills for our clients, right?
Yeah,
Pool, landscape, pest, roof repairs, like all these. And when you compound that with 60 plus properties, it comes to be hundreds of thousands a month. And I was the one clicking the button because I'm like, no, 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 only I can. I'm gonna make sure that we don't lose this money here.
yeah.
And then, dude, you gotta relinquish that control. And I can be honest here that it's still in the back of my mind on some things still that I'm working on
Letting go.
becoming even letting go. Yeah, dude, you gotta let go. And that's like what like I admire your systems and your kind of mindset on that because I know you're completely detached, and I'm still in the dirt, like with the team on some things. You know, Gary Vee always talks about that, like and that's just your style, right? You know, my style, I like to be sometimes in the dirt and the chaos and dealing with it. Your style is more like, no, I'm watching from afar. You guys are, I'm paying you all to handle that. Is that kind of how you see it, or give me your summary on that?
Yeah, so I think of it in more working towards over time being more in the strategy versus being more in the like day to day of the thing. And
Yeah.
not meaning that I'm like above the day to day thing, but more so meaning of my highest value that I could bring to the organization. Like, so the way that I kind of look at it is like, if I'm doing something that's like too much into the weeds of the organization, I'm starving the business from working on strategy to grow the business. Because if I'm working in the weeds of something that's just, someone else could be doing, what
Hmm.
am I not doing? I'm not, building the strategy for how we're going to, grow our business by 30% profit this next year, which then is going to allow us to hire more people, which is then going to allow us to promote people, which is going to allow us to give raises, which is going to allow us to improve our benefit plan, which is going to allow us to serve more clients, which is going to allow us to have a more valuable, enterprise value of a company. And so like that's more so the way that I look through it is like, my job, my role is to, have an ecosystem that has, good operations in place, good data tracking, good systems in place, and, a good accountability chart of the team members that are required to do the things. And then the systems and operations help, manage that. And then I help steer the ship on a monthly basis and financial reviews for the previous month in a quarterly quarter to quarter plan for us hitting our quarterly goals, and then in an annual planning process for forecasting out what are we going to accomplish this next year and how does that break down into quarter over quarter, month over month, week over week, and guiding the ship. So I look at it as more of like I'm helping guide the ship, and the better I can help guide the ship, the more opportunities I can give to the people on the ship. Because if I'm too much in like I'm sweeping or I'm mopping the boat. I don't know all the names on boats, but I'm sweeping and mopping the boat.
The
It's like
deck,
I'm
the deck.
yeah the deck.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like
there you go.
I'm not steering and taking us to a bigger opportunity, which is what I
Yeah.
want to help the team get to. And so that's what I look at it more as is like by me not focusing on those things, I'm slowing the growth opportunity for not only our company, but for the people in our company. And I'm also stunting our growth from being able to serve more clients because I'm not focused on helping us serve more clients. And if I know what we do is great, then we should be serving more people because there's a lot of people doing bad business. So we could be capturing more and doing more good business out there in the world. So that's kind of my frame that I look at it through.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, so you're not you're not taking you're not taking like clients don't necessarily call you direct ever, right? There's a process for everything. It goes through like your employees and your people.
Yeah, my phone's on do not disturb, and it has been like permanently for like 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't get any calls to me for anything.
See, I get calls nonstop. Yeah. That's it. See, that's where I'm learning like the okay, how do I detach from that, you know?
Yeah, I'll
It's
give you
interesting.
something, and for anyone listening too, there's a tool that we use, and I do this like once a quarter myself, and this is how like over years I've been doing this. So I have
Uh,
it's called an activity inventory audit, and so what I'll do in this process, and anyone can do this, but and I have like YouTube videos for those that are listening to the podcast, but Jack, I'll send it to you. Um, but basically, what I'll do is I actually did it last week because I'm really trying to focus on like my next stage of delegation and my next stage of where I'm focusing my time and energy. And so
mhm.
basically over a week, I have on this document, I'll be listing out all of the things that I'm doing, like, every day, for work, like any of the activities that I'm doing. And then as
Yeah.
I'm going through the week, I'm trying to think of things that maybe I do monthly or quarterly as well, just to like, kind of log everything down. And so
Yeah.
on that list, then I'll look at, okay, here's all the things that I could think of that I'm doing and or do on a regular basis. And then
Hmm.
I rate on each of those areas of like what things on that list do I feel like are my unique ability, maybe I'm excellent at, or maybe things I'm incompetent at. I'm not very good at, but I'm just doing because it's just kind of fallen on me to do. And then I'll also assign what I think the dollar per hour value is of that individual activity. So like me doing some admin thing, like that's a $10 an hour activity. Like that's so I'm like putting all of those things down. If I'm creating a new big affiliate relationship that could drive a bunch of new customers to one of my companies, high value activity, because that's going to create a
Yeah.
lot of new business. And
Totally.
then on the last part of it is it's like this part where you're kind of rating like SDO, whether it's like I need to just stop doing this because this is a waste of time. I need to delegate to someone internally on the team that we already have as a resource that I could delegate to, or outsource, like maybe it's outsourced to an outside agency or vendor or something else to do that particular thing. And
Hmm.
so I do this on usually once a quarter I'll do it myself, and then I'm encouraging my team to do it so that we're constantly taking our highest value people and pushing lower value activities down to lower paid team members to do those
Yeah.
lower value tasks, and then moving higher value tasks up to our highest, paid team members. Because I don't want someone I pay, say, 150 grand a year to be doing a $10 an hour thing. Because I'm like, that is a waste of my investment in their salary if they're doing low value work.
Yeah.
And so that's, I look at that for the same way for me too. To then I start, and then the way you start with it is, say you find a few things on there and it's like maybe you're like, well, I can't delegate these 22 things this week. Like that's just too much. But you can take, okay,
Yeah.
well, let's pick the three things that would be the easiest lift to start with and take those three and then find who you're going to delegate those things to on the team. And it's like, work on those. And then once you can cross those off of like those are delegated, then what's the next couple things you could do? And like slowly working that over time has been really helpful for me. Another thing that I do, Jack, is every time I go on vacation, if I get any type of messaging to me via like Slack or email that I have to make a decision on or I become a bottleneck in for some reason or another, I document that down so then when I'm back from vacation, I could figure out who could I better delegate to or what's a better process that I need to create so that doesn't come to me when I'm on like a vacation or something so that
Yeah.
someone else can handle it and I don't become the bottleneck because I don't want to bottleneck anything either. So those are a
Yeah.
couple things that I've done for the last few years that have been really helpful in just like peeling layers back away from me.
Yeah. Yeah. Send that to me. I'll definitely take a time audit, and figure out what else do I need to delegate. Yeah, because we're in our industry, the average revenue per employee is like 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
We're at like close to 1 million. So
Yeah.
it's it's a high cash business, so there's value, there's benefits to that, not having so much overhead.
Yeah.
But the downside is that I still have, as an owner, I still have too much that is coming into me. So
Yeah.
that's one of my things I got to work on.
Yeah. And it's something that, we'll have to work on over time and um,
Yeah,
it's getting things to the team and having the right systems to push the things to the right people so you can focus more on the growth. I guess for you too, it's like what's the what's like the main role that you're over, if we look at like from like a marketing, sales, operations, finance standpoint, where do you kind of sit in the partnership right now?
definitely operations.
Okay.
Yeah. So I oversee like the almost the full, guest experience, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and more so the maintenance department, right? The
Mm-hmm.
maintenance department in our industry is what fails the most. It's the hardest part of the business. So I, of
Well,
course,
that hospitality of just like if something's not working, a guest needs it working 10 minutes ago.
quick, 10 minutes ago. Yeah. Yeah. So you got to get things quick. And that's where, I'm incredible at building relationships with these trades. You get, not guarantee, but they do well by you, and you feed them a lot of business because we have a lot of
Yeah.
opportunity, and then they show up for you fast. So that's kind of the strategy I take with
Yeah.
getting things done fast. But yeah, it's mainly the operations, just overseeing the cleanings, the maintenance, kind of the day-to-day flow
Hmm.
of the business. We have a lot of moving parts in our business. Like today, I think there's like 27 check-ins or something. Thursday there's a lot of check-ins. So, who those houses are inspected
Yeah.
earlier this week, who's inspecting them, and when there's any, bottlenecks or any problems in the house, who who do we who coordinates getting these things done.
Yeah.
And I have two maintenance guys on staff, and dude, their roles are just to go from house to house to house
Just
to
handle
house,
it.
just fixing things. Yeah, fixing things, driving, dropping off, a guest needs a new coffee maker, right? Like we're managing so many things in these properties, from the front fence to the grass to the sprinklers in the grass to the
Yeah.
bricks, bricks that might fall apart, to the front door that is now misled, to the roof leaks, dude. Whenever these rains come, has it been raining? You're in Mesa,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah. No, it's
Oh,
our
dude,
yard's like if I'm looking at it right now, it's flooded right now.
I think I have 8 roof leaks right now, with these rains, and this happens these big houses, man. As you know, these big houses, they just take on a beating.
Dude, it's making me I'm at a point now where I'm like I want to sell all of my rentals that I have here because I'm just like dude, I enjoy the rain, but like anytime it's raining, I'm just like what house is going to have a roof leak? And then it's just like
And
it's inevitable. It's like within 48 hours of a heavy rain, I'm like, our property manager is reaching out to my executive assistant, and then I just see it happening in like the emails, and I'm like, ah, great,
or
sick.
a tree's gonna
Or a
fall on
tree,
one of your
yeah, yeah, a
houses.
tree
Yeah.
falls on the roof. We had to cut one of those off, like the rains that were like a month ago or whatever it was when they were just like it was hammering us for like multiple days in a row.
So you're getting
Yeah,
tired of owning these cash
yeah,
flowing assets.
yeah. I mean, a lot of honestly, it's like a lot of my rentals over the last few years have gotten worse and worse on the performance. Like they were performing
Same.
better. Insurances went up, property taxes have went up, the repair
Yeah.
costs have went up, and it's just like
Yeah.
when I'm looking at the returns like year over year, I'm like literally the last 3 years they've gotten worse every year. And so that's where I'm looking at just selling and taking the cash and putting it into more businesses because I'm like I'm not like I'm not even getting a good on paper return of like, yes, there's been great equity growth. Yes, there was, there is cash flow, quote unquote. And then there's all the CapEx expenses that are coming out. And it's just like tenant vacancies and then stuff sits and you're paying mortgages. The market now is weird. Rent rates have went down,
Way down.
values
Yeah.
have went down a bit as well. So it's just like, just not great.
What's your like, how do you, like, your taxes, like, how do you give me like an overview of like how you do you meet with like your CPA every quarter, every month? Like, what's your kind of strategy with? Because so at first, Cody, I had to figure out how to make enough money to have a tax problem. Now I
Yeah.
got a tax. Now I got a tax problem, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how do I pay less taxes. And yeah, real estate definitely
It
does help.
helps. But then you
Yeah, it
have the
definitely
real estate
helps.
problems.
And you got the real estate problems, and yeah, my rents are down too. Tenants are
Yeah.
negotiating with me like, hey, there's this place down the road. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you want a couple $100 off? Okay, I'm not going to lose a month of vacancy. Just okay, we can negotiate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So yeah, on the tax side, so I've went through a couple different CPAs over the last like 6, 7 years, and I had a guy out of Utah that I was happy with for, a couple years, and then we outgrew him. He's like, you have too much stuff going on. I don't, kind of handle there's just another firm that's probably a better fit. So had a
Gotcha.
guy out of Minnesota that he had a small, very small team, but they were like, very focused on kind of like rev size businesses that we're at. Had him for the last couple of years, and first year he was great. Second year he took on too many clients. Communication went horrible. I don't hear from him. Doesn't respond. Takes like months to get anything back. Gave him all of our
Yeah.
financials in February this year for him to
Yeah.
close out our to get my taxes done because I wanted to be able to be bankable for last year's taxes. Didn't
Yeah.
file any of my stuff till like October, and it's like we gave him everything in February. So I, out of all of that, and long story short, one of our lines of business at Start Virtual that's became our biggest line is a bookkeeping arm, and so I just a couple weeks ago, as of time of this recording, bought a tax and bookkeeping company out of Scottsdale. So I bought that company, and I'm moving the tax work to be to the main CPA there. And just honestly, just sick and tired of the way like the tax space is operated. Like most of these companies, like I don't know what your
It's
experience has
terrible.
been. No one responds. You email, you don't get a response for weeks. You ask questions, you don't get answers. Like it's just like I never know what's going on for years. And so I was like, I'm just gonna freaking buy one of these and have be able to just like, all right, I own it, so now I could like make sure that my stuff is getting done when I need it to be done.
Totally.
And so that's so my plan will be meeting with my he's now the minority partner in the business there, on probably like twice a year. Really at the beginning, kind of like March, April time, and then towards the end of the year, like right around this time, November, kind of looking at,
Yeah.
okay, based on like the estimates, quarterly estimates that were paid, how are we doing based on some companies have, done better, some are doing worse, like where do we, where are we allocating the right amount of money for taxes, and then what things should we try to do before the end of the year. So that's what I'll be, setting up. But yeah, that's I haven't found the silver bullet for it. Having the real estate helps, but I just pay the taxes. And I have some properties that I had bought over the years that were not great deals just to save in the tax burden, and I kind of regret it, honestly. I'm just like, man, like why did I buy some of these just to save in the taxes to now have this real estate headache that I have to deal with? Like I should have just paid a little bit more in tax. But try to do all the things I can to pay the least amount possible, while
Yeah.
still like operating, and on the right side and not walking the line. Like I don't ever want to have an audit problem and have
Yeah.
issues with the IRS. I'm good, but that's kind of what what I'm doing now.
So that's a good understanding for the people listening. Like even so, we're in the same boat, right? You always think you're paying more taxes. We always think our CPAs, it's like you're not like figuring it out for us. You got to take it into your own brain and do your own research. And
Yeah. Like
you
they should
know,
help you, but it's like at the end of the day, for everyone listening, you're going to pay taxes unless you're just buying so much freaking real estate every year and you're doing cost segs on these
cost segs,
properties that
yeah,
you're just, constantly wiping out your tax bill. Like that's the only
that's
real way that I know to actually do it. That's like
same,
legal to do it. And
yeah.
it's like other than that, like yeah, you're paying some taxes and it's like, yeah, welcome
So
to making
even
money.
I know even high level, you've been entrepreneur for what, like 15 years or something or whatever,
Yeah.
13 years. Like even for the listeners, that's like it always gives me a little bit of comfort knowing that other people, other high level entrepreneurs are still, it's not perfect, right?
No.
The business is not ever going to be perfect.
No,
Uh,
never.
and it's just, it's interesting. Been doing it for so long and it's still like trying to figure it out. And I'm in the same boat, man. These taxes are complicated.
And yeah, and it's frustrating just on the for me it's always the communication. I'm just like I just want to hear something back when I, inquire. I don't know if you had that same experience with, working with tax people, but it seems like they just don't care to respond. I know I'm probably like irritating some tax person that does respond well to their clients that's listening right now,
Probably.
but but
and they're going to
that's
try
been
to
my
get our
experience
business.
for years.
Yeah, or you send an email and you ask, a simple question, and then you get a $500 bill for it. It's like, well, actually just was hoping to hear from you for a second there. Like, I understand everyone's got to make their money, so
Yeah.
it can be frustrating when it's unexpected, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the goal with VKZ, man? Like what's is it grow and freaking just dominate Arizona? Is it open up more markets? Is it grow, sell at some point? Is it, grow, put in more team members, not operating as much day to day and cash flow and live your life and have a bunch more kids? Or what's kind of the goal?
The goal is, yeah, definitely new markets. So, right now, Sedona and Scottsdale, we're looking at Tucson, and so all of our growth right now is all organic, right? And as you know,
Mm-hmm.
organic is what takes so long.
Yep.
So, in order for us to get out of state, we're gonna have to acquire other companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we've looked at a couple, not too serious, just a few. There is opportunities for strategic partnerships, whether that's minority or majority equity. Um, there's a lot of different options on the table with what we're trying to do here. Um, but yeah, we got a great business. It's a high cash flow business. We have very little overhead. We leverage $140 million of assets to cash flow and serve our clients who can vacation to their house, get the tax benefits and cash flow themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now the market's a little down right now,
Yeah.
as there's no secret that it's been blowing up on the internet that Airbnb is a dying game, but
But the
it's not
luxury stuff has got to be more insulated from that, right? Like, what have you seen this last
100%.
couple years? I mean, I had to get rid of all my Airbnbs that were like middle market stuff because like there's so much
They all,
competition that they were all bleeding out after the like
yep.
cash flowed great, and then there's too many other properties, so we've just converted them either to long term or sold them.
Dude, anything under so I'm very narrow focused on
Yep.
the Phoenix market for people
Yep.
listening. So Phoenix and Sedona. Anything under $1 million in Phoenix, so like the cookie cutter, like the maybe the product that you had,
Yep.
that type of stuff is making nothing right now. It's
Yeah.
just a it's just a it's a race to the bottom. Who can lower their price the most and get bookings?
Yep.
Now, the luxury stuff, the luxury product is still doing well. However, I'll give you an example. One of our best properties did about 550 in gross rental revenue in 2024. 2025, it's going to be down like over 100,000. So that's a big jump, and that's just I hate to kind of blame it on this. It's just all the indicators tell us that just the travel industry as a whole is down. The airlines, the hotels. So, I'm in the travel industry, and when people don't have so much cash right now and the cost of everything is so fucking high,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that goes out the window, dude, is traveling.
Yep.
So the summary of that is, so what we're seeing is anything under 1 million, which we have a few homes, not many, those are down like 60% plus, some of them. So they were making 110,000 in the height of the market, the 2021, 2022 type of time. 2025, it's doing 40, 50,000, and the owner is definitely negative cash
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah. I was trying to look. I'm like, oh, maybe I can, you know, I was looking at maybe doing like a 1031, trying to sell like a package of like five or six of my houses and buying like something like luxury. I want something in Flagstaff. But like I was even trying to
Yeah.
run the numbers and I'm like, even like $1.5 million house up there, I was like doing the numbers and I'm like, I will make like nothing. Even like putting 35% down and trying to like, so it's I don't know what the threshold is for like things that actually will make sense, but I'm just like I don't know what to do with my real estate, so I'm just intending on paying taxes because I'm like I don't. I don't want a 1031 into something else that also isn't cash flowing to then just have another property that doesn't cash flow great.
Yeah, it's the for vacation rentals right now, you have to pay cash for it to make, if you want that 6 to 8 cap rate, it's you got to pay cash. So we were just running a deal yesterday, for example, in Sedona, because we're always looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
It's a, $1.2 million house, got a pool. Pools in Sedona are hard to come by. If it has a pool, it's going to do about 20 to 30% more revenue. And at the end of the day, with these, 6.5% rates or whatever, it's basically a break even, and that's with us not paying a management fee either.
Yeah.
Now, I did send it out to a couple of our clients who I know, have sold companies and have big money. Um, because to them, it would, if they were able to pay cash, it was like a 6.9
Yeah.
conservative cap. So it's tough, man. It's a tough market
Yeah.
right now, but dude, you can't, like any business, I'm not emotional about like we were talking about our tenants. Like, yeah, I had to give better rates to my tenants because that's the market right now.
Yeah. That's what it
It's
is.
I can't get the rate I was getting in 2022 because that's just not it right
Reality.
now.
Yeah.
So
100%. Just
the
pivoting,
market
pivoting
doesn't
with the
lie.
market. Yeah, pivoting with the market as it can, and that's where, for me, I'm pivoting out of my real estate and just like going into buying more businesses that actually have cash flow and gonna pay the tax bill and smile and until real
Yeah.
estate, financially can make sense for me to start buying more of again.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a couple. There's like two or three trades. They're like one man bands. Like my appliance guy, for example. It's like, dude, I've told him so many. I'm like, dude, I want to buy into your company so bad. Like,
Yeah.
um.
I mean, that could
So
be
when
a
you,
good way to grow is vertically integrating some of the stuff for you guys, like buying that and
yeah,
then like starting to, redo their, they probably don't even have a website, but make a website, start doing some marketing, start getting some other clients and, kind of spinning off some other services. I think could be a great, I mean, that's probably a great opportunity. I mean, you guys, I feel like you guys could probably start a handyman business and crush with that because you already have your 60 something houses that already are served. You could probably start offering services to other homeowners as well.
yeah, that or like full service. So we are blessed to have a lot of, obviously with your client base, it comes down to a lot of trust
Yeah.
and um. So we do have the opportunity to like let's say I did buy like a pest control company, it wouldn't be too difficult to get
Get them to use
majority
your vendor.
correct. Yeah, so like they already use our vendors anyways that we're preferred with.
Yeah.
So it's definitely on the mind. And yeah, thinking hard to how to execute all this stuff, dude.
Yeah. I think the handyman one probably is one of the better upsides, mainly just because like a pool service or a pest, it's like even just integrating your companies, it's like you get 65 accounts, which in the pool or pest business isn't that much. Like pest to like be profitable, you need like thousands of accounts or like pool, hundreds or thousands of accounts to get like really good profitability. But like
Yeah,
handyman, like you could have those 65 and then you get, start getting word of mouth out to some other people. And I think that one could have some good upside to, have on as like a pillar of outside of the business to cross sell to.
I agree. Yeah, and we already got the guys in place. We would probably need more maintenance guys though,
Yeah.
but the systems are there for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's super, super cool. I'm always like, how do we make more out of what we're already doing and how could we like pivot to add additional tiers or service or finding those other ways to, monetize on what we're already doing.
Yeah, yeah, you're a wizard with that. So how many companies you got? Like five, six, seven companies now?
Yeah, so at the beginning of last year, I sold my stake in the business with Pace on our like media and education business, and so I'm just focused on buying stuff now.
Hmm.
But have the if you've seen at the plant guy on Instagram, so I bought half of that a couple years ago, and then bought residential cleaning company, the majority stake last summer, called the Perfect Clean, which
Hmm.
is all just residential cleaning, no Airbnbs, no special. It's just home cleaning for
Yeah,
retail
perfect.
customers. And
Yeah,
then I have Start Virtual, which you know about, the virtual assistant company, which now is really
yeah,
turning more into like a back office services company where we're doing a lot of admin work for companies here in the US and then bookkeeping services there as well. And then I just bought a tax and bookkeeping company that I was telling you about earlier that has like a
yeah,
small little office in Scottsdale right next to the Scottsdale Air Park up there. Um, and then I have Scale with Pros, which is really Scale with Pros is like my like umbrella company. So it's like I have me and then like my head of ops, my CFO, our senior web dev, our kind of like our leadership team that then serves the different companies that I'll invest into. So like I don't sit on the org chart for any of them besides Scale with Pros, and then our team
yeah.
like helps kind of install like the systems and processes and things, and then like I help lead like the strategy within those. And so that's that's where those are at right now. And then obviously the real estate stuff. And then I'll do some private money lending on some deals. Like I have a buddy DJ that has a mobile home dealership, and so he lists or he has his dealership. So whenever he finds land, I'll like fund the land purchase and then fund the mobile, and then he does all the work, and then we JV on those. So I'm still in real estate stuff and lending and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that. But
You'll forever probably be.
yeah, yeah, it's just a deal junkie. If there's a good deal
Totally,
and I don't
dude.
have to like do a bunch of stuff, but I could put it together, I'm in.
So yeah, scale with pros is like, okay, that's how we scale our business. That's how
Yep.
we like I have the okay, I'm Cody, I have scale with pros, and now I just use those same concepts and systems and processes to all these
In
other
each company, yeah,
companies.
we just take the same things that work and we just do them over and over again. From like the professionalization of them, systems, operations, process, sales process, technology, stack, processes. Obviously, there's nuances in industries, but like
Yeah,
a lot of it's pretty much the same type of stuff.
yeah. Dude, that's awesome. I love to see it. I'm a big fan.
It's
I love
fun.
to
It's
see it.
fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, as we're coming up to the end here, Jack. So what like obviously you shared like some of the advice you'd go back and like give yourself to like delegate more, get some more help faster. Um in terms of growth, what would you have done to see the company grow faster? Like would there have been like certain other marketing or sales systems that you would have changed just on this point of just growing the company that would have been helpful to go faster as well?
It would have been taking, and we're doing this now, but taking less profit for ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and feeding the business even more, delaying gratification even more, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I lived in these kind of C plus condos for some time, so I was delaying gratification,
Yeah.
you know, and then I bought a house and now I own a bigger house, the mortgage is even more, right? So it's like I do kick myself sometimes on wanting to delay. I think delaying gratification as long as you can to just keep feeding the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Because then eventually, you'll get paid out even more.
Yeah.
So that's probably the one thing that comes to mind that okay guys, we need to feed the business even more,
Yeah.
and that's going to help our EBITDA, etc.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
So it's having delaying gratification, which I think you already, did a great job of doing that too. Like me and you were both similar in that we're just like waited and like lived heavily below our means for a really long time and then started,
yeah,
over time upgrading lifestyle and stuff. But I
correct.
think,
Yeah,
I think too many people do that as their business starts to grow. They get too much lifestyle creep too fast, which also,
yeah,
the amount, because I'm looking at deals because I'm trying to buy stuff all the time. So I'm like looking at P&Ls and like sometimes the amount I see guys just taking out of their business, it's just like, man, like no wonder you haven't grown. Like you're literally suffocating the business with all of your personal lifestyle cash needs. And it's like, you
right.
gotta, the business needs cash. It's oxygen to grow and to be able to keep going. So I think it's a great
100%.
lesson.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the one. But
Awesome. So
you realize it
where?
and
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's go ahead.
Yeah, so the as far as for anyone that's interested in like learning about Vacay AZ or what you guys do, or maybe they're looking for a property to stay at here and a luxury property in Arizona and or want to connect with you, where should people reach out? And we'll make sure we get that in the show notes as well.
So vacayz.com, you can connect with us through there. Instagram's a good one at vacayz. My personal Instagram, Jack Walker AZ. That'd be the ways to connect.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Jack, thank you
Yeah,
so much for being here and sharing the insights with everyone to really just help other people be able to go a little bit faster, which is our whole goal of this podcast is helping others have a little bit less pain and suffering than we had to go through.
I appreciate you having me on, dude. I'm uh I'm honored and I'm a big fan and supporter of you. So thanks so much.
Awesome. Appreciate it.